ex-wife is French. So
With all of you, Bradley G. Munkowitz, a.k.a. GMunk.
All right. Hey, what's going on? This isn't really my format, walking around TED Talk style, but I'm just gonna kind of get good at it on the fly. I'm more of like a sitter, I kind of hide. Not supposed to look at me. I'm supposed to look at the screen. I guess you guys can see, that's pretty bright actually. How you guys doing? Yeah, I'm super tired this morning. I have a 6-month-old at home, but I feel good. I'm very caffeinated. Had some matcha and then some sencha. It's kind of just, okay. All right, my name is GMunk. I am best known for working on designing all the holograms in Tron Legacy. Did this about 15 years ago. Working on the new Tron, doing 260 shots in the new Tron that comes out in October. And it's the hardest thing I've ever fucking done. But we're not talking about that today. Also designed all the interfaces in Oblivion. Windows 10 desktop. Can't escape this one. This was actually a photo that we prevised. Figured it out. If you look at the logo, it's like flat to camera, but then pitch to camera. So we had to do this camera projection, this like camera mapping, lens compression trick, shooting lasers through a window. Scary, but it worked. Thank God. They were on set. We had only prevised it. We're like, is this gonna work? I don't know. Is this gonna work? Worked on this. This is probably my best work ever. A short film called Box. And Box was a projection-based physical installation where all the magic was captured live and in camera, filmed documentary style with no posts. It's all in camera. And it's projection mapping on moving objects held by robots. And the camera's on a third robot. And it's just a statement on depth illusion, the illusions of depth. And totally hard. Failed for about a year on it. And then finally got it right. But you can see, we kept all the mistakes in. When it rotates fast, you can see it's not 100% locked on. We just wanted to have it be a really honest study. It's kind of a tech demo. And here's a vibe. We'll just watch this for a second. A little vibe. A little box vibe. Okay, we're not talking about that. I'm very much into light, very much into light of all kinds, LED light, projection, laser. This was I'm just kind of showing you this real quickly, just to kind of give you the breadth of things that I am really passionate about, but we're not going to talk about any of this stuff today. We're talking about AI today, but just want to give you a little background. This was a volumetric light installation using robotics. I wanted to get the content off the screen and into the physical space as volumetric light. This is called Telestron. We did this at the Day for Night Festival using robotics and these gobos to shadow cast, putting light fixtures in, lots of light fixtures, strobes, hop lights. Cool. I also like to build sculptures. This is actually a real thing. So that's a human. We actually made this somehow. This is a projection map sculpture hanging from the ceiling of the Lithuania House in Toronto. And this was a sound healing ceremony. Telestron was kind of like this ritual chamber with volumetric light. Box was like a statement on illusionry. This was kind of a sound healing ceremony with this shaman that talks and emotes, and it was just super low budget, just me and a friend programming this for 4 days, cowboy style, just totally hard. These are the things I'm showing you this just to kind of give you like the breadth. We do the tech, we do the techie holograms, we do the building, we play with robots, we play with light all the time. But what I want to talk to you about today is an invisible light source. So I'm a photographer, and my passion is to photograph the full spectrum of light. So we see the visible spectrum is in the middle, and the infrared spectrum lies beyond, the ultraviolet spectrum lies beyond. And my favorite place is about 500 to 700 nanometers, where you start to get 700 nanometers, 720 nanometers and beyond is the infrared light. And I like to kind of get half of the visible spectrum and certain amounts of the infrared spectrum in my photography. So that what that does is it really creates kind of wild colors. And so I like to do landscape photography, capturing, manipulating the infrared spectrum of light and the visible spectrum of light. And my favorite part about this is it's like shooting on film. I shoot a lot of film, so much. I love film. I love analog. I love the texture. And shooting full spectrum is the same because you don't really know what you're shooting until you process the photo and start to pull colors out of it. And so everything is just kind of purple, and orange. And then you start to push and pull, and you just discover tones deep within the photographs. And it's just really a process of discovery. And I just love kind of looking at an invisible light spectrum through my camera. Only cameras can see the infrared spectrum of light. The James Webb telescope is seeing the full spectrum. You can modify a camera by just removing the infrared light blocker, and the camera sees full spectrum. So these are just, photographs. Alaska, chilling. Iceland, chilling. This is kind of how, the Richard Moss was one of the great full spectrum photographers, infrared spectrum. This is kind of how you do it. You turn the foliage red. You have everything be like this deep blue or black. But I was always interested in the magentas and the oranges and the pinks, the violets. And Iceland, Hawaii, Hawaii vibes. Being a Bay Area native, I live in Berkeley. I love to go up to Mount Tam and shoot the fog. Very excited for July and August again. It's coming. And what I like about shooting through full spectrum through the fog is kind of a depth mat, and you can see the infrared, the infrared light kind of coming through it, and you just kind of find it in the fog, and it becomes all these gradients of tones, and I really love it. And so that's a little bit of background on that. But now let's talk about AI. So about a year and a half ago, I released the INFRAMUNK VOL2, 2021. Time-lapse and still photography as a digital art series. And I was kind of like, okay, where can I take this? And, I went to school in Humboldt County. And I'm not going to really talk about this much today, but I went to school in Humboldt County, and I was a film major. And I spent so much time tripping my balls off in the redwoods, staring at ferns and moss and redwoods, and just watching trees breathe for years. Just making Super 8 and 16 millimeter films. My films would just be just macros of ferns, and people would be like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "No, it's breathing. What are you talking about? Like, it's in there." And so I wanted to take my full spectrum photography a little bit further, and I call it INFRAMUNK is breathing because it's an infusion of something as basic as the breath of life, triggering a cellular level excavation through the lens of mutation. So this is the photo that I took. I took this photo in Mount Tam, a tree racked in the fog, and then used stable diffusion to just mutate it into these beautiful forms, right? And this is very early days. And one of my favorite science fiction films of all time is Annihilation. You guys see Annihilation? Alex Garland film. I just love the palette of mutation, like chromosomal mutation, just things changing and augmenting, and this poetry of like digital pixels and cellular level mutation intertwining and being driven by this machine intelligence. And so just did all these kind of altered states. And so how do you make the tree breathe? And so what we did, so I'm going to show you this for a second. So what we did, get out of the way. Let's get out. We'll come over here. what we did is we animated the denoise values really slow. So you stare at it and it transforms so slowly that you kind of don't realize it's changing until you realize it's completely different. And for me, coming from experiential design, like for me, pacing, my foundation is in motion design, but I've done experiential design for over a decade, 15 years about, and I'm all about pacing and cadence and just kind of feeling of the experience of watching something. So I wanted to slow everything down and just really just kind of make it this meditation on mutation. And this is really simple. This is basically just mutating from still to still. Early days, this is about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And this was my first foray into using this in my full spectrum photography. Okay, so next one is, okay, so now how do I take, no, stop, so much better. This is early, we're early. We got 18 minutes left, 19 minutes left. Going fast because I don't like this 30-minute time limit, so I'm just kind of keeping this going. Okay, how can I improve on this? How can I improve on this? So like, how do we get more motion into the photos, right? So it's like, okay, let's get into time-lapse. Let's do this with time-lapse. So I am in Bali with my wife. We are staying at the Viceroy Hotel in Ubud. And our goal on this trip was a baby moon. We had a 2.5-year-old at this time, staying with his grandparents in Bulgaria. My wife's Bulgarian. We're in Ubud on a baby moon, trying to conceive baby number 2. That was the goal. We failed. We failed on our trip because I was taking too many hot tubs. I was cooking it, you know? It was too many hot tubs. So it didn't work, but we're out in the Viceroy. So this is the sun deck in the Viceroy, and I'm looking up, and there's this amazing full moon in the sky. And so around midnight, I'm like, hey, I need to go. I took my camera out, my tripod, and I'm photographing into this valley, and it's pitch black. But I know that the clouds are moving really fast over the moon. And so I know that like the lighting is going to be changing on the trees in this valley, okay? So I take a time lapse of the valley. And so I know that all the lighting is in camera. Like this is all the moon being covered by the clouds. And then I apply the same breathing technique to this. Here's another moment. It's like a 3.5-minute piece, so we can't watch the whole thing. But here's another one. Okay, what I love about the process is the research, just going into Midjourney and just making so many iterations, so many fantastical growths, just like mutations of the photo on my, on its own. And it's just, it's almost like a curation process because you have so much to work with. Which ones do you choose? So then I was kind of like, okay, well, it's a 3.5-minute piece. There's only like 3 big mutations in the whole piece. Like, how do we take this even further? This is not enough. It's too slow. This is the second piece in the INFRAMUNK is Breathing series. But I love this part so much. I just love going in, getting lost in Midjourney, and just creating so much. It's so nice, so fun. Before AI, like making any of those would take me 2 weeks, and now you're creating 1,000 of them in 3 hours. It's kind of a wild time to be a creative. It's so fun. Love aerial photography. So I have another practice called GMunk. And I just love taking aerial photographs of these vast landscapes from a helicopter and just making something so big feel so small by abstracting it. And so I like this guy, these vast river valleys in Iceland just looking like a microscopic environment that you see in a microscope. And, very, very fun. Cool. Do this. Jump in a helicopter with a couple friends, doors off, just hosing down Iceland like this. It's fun. It's fun. Shooting over. I'm a pattern and texture enthusiast. I just love patterns, textures of our beautiful planet. And so aerial photography for me is just a way to kind of get above it, find compositions, texture, patterns. And this is deep into the infrared spectrum. So this is 850 nanometers. So it's just like black and white, hard contrast. And every place along the spectrum requires a different lighting condition. So deep into the infrared spectrum, like 850, sunlight is good because you need that white light to kind of blast out and give you the white to contrast with the dark. And so that's why by full spectrum photography is so difficult, because it's like you just have all these rules, all these ideal situations that you need to hit. So, flying in helicopters is kind of expensive. It's like, can't do this all the time. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to fucking get a drone. Let's just stop. Let's just get a drone. That's Mordecai. I name all my drones Yiddish names. Mordecai. Mordecai is this guy. Not Yiddish. I guess Jewish Yiddish, whatever. Mordecai. And this is me on vacation. This is vacation mode. This is Vacation Monk. Here we are with like my Patagonia shirt with like nothing underneath. My homies on the dock of a glacial lake in British Columbia with his Hasselblad next to him, relaxing. I'm just flying the drone on a dock. It's like vacation. I like that. This is how I look on vacation. And so, it's full spectrum. So now all of my like Lightroom and full spectrum presets are out the window, because now we're dealing with video, but now I'm getting a lot of motion built in, right? And it's wonderful because it's this is just a slow pan on the edge of the lake, and it's just the colors are just there's so much variety in the tones, and it's fun. Here is a overlooking the ocean. Found this kelp in the ocean, and it's kind of like I was saying with the depth map of fog. The water is now kind of pushing the infrared light on the foliage back into the water. It emerges really beautifully and slow. And now I'm just getting all this built-in motion into my photography. Now, granted, I'm a novice at this. I'm not like a terribly amazing pilot. I'm just like learning on the fly. But I'm gonna be one. This is my new obsession. I'm gonna get my Part 107 license after Tron's over, and I'm going to get really good at this because I really like it. I really like just kind of getting all the motion of all of this, just getting all this motion, doing all these sweeping moves. And I'm really, 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 really inspired by this medium of drone cinematography. Okay, great. Well, fine. Here's an island. There's a little island. This is all in Vancouver Island. This is all in Vancouver Island, a little brain island here. Some water. Water becomes lava. The island becomes this. I just love the tones, manipulating the tones. Here's a boom on a little island. It's just kind of a different world, It's fun for me. Here's the Chickamus River. Okay, so why are you showing me all this? Great, these are nice shots, but hey, what does this have to do with AI? Do you guys know where I'm going with this? Do you know what's going to happen? So I did those two pieces, and I'm breathing from still image to still image. Then I'm getting time-lapse. The time-lapse thing was fucking hard because you're dealing with like 800 8K images, the data wrangling, it's annoying. And so first with the drone cinematography, I had to rebuild all my color pipelines. So I learned DaVinci Resolve. Anybody use DaVinci Resolve? Fuck, is this amazing software. Oh my God. This is like my favorite software ever made. get lost in the nodes, the playback. It just handles anything. Amazing software. So I've been really going hard on DaVinci Resolve, rebuilding all my color pipelines and getting this all dialed. And so, for the next series, INFRAMUNK VOL2, I go back into Midjourney and I start just making stuff again. Just start making foliage, flowers, underwater, fog, coral, growth algorithms, just anything and everything. I'm freestyling. And honestly, this technology, this is like, I come from motion design, right? The biggest hindrance to us in motion design is always craft. It's always like, okay, we want to make this. How do we communicate our concept? How do we make it storyboard artist, concept artist, weeks at a time? And now it's like you can make all of these in, 4 days? And each one of these images I wouldn't be able to even make on my own ever. It's wild. It's amazing. And so I, mix in clouds, mix in fog, different kinds of trees, underwater. And so I just go to town on all of it. Mix in some kind of fractal melty textures, having a ball. This is the best. I fucking love this shit. It's just like the best, just ripping through. And so now it's time to take all of this into animatediff and into Flux, because we want to take these style references and apply them to the drone videos. God, I put too many of these in. You guys getting it? Okay, I'm mixing some of this, I'm mixing that. Little sprinkles of this, little sprinkles of that. Okay, so then we start to get our style. So this is the style reference, and we apply it to the drone video. So now the drone video becomes, I don't know what we call that. It's like a dragon. The river becomes lava. And then I do those color changes, like those different grades that I do those transitions in the video. We feed that into animatediff, and it kind of changes as the colors shift, the breathing changes. There's another one. That's fun because it's the drone video. You see, like if I establish as a user experience, like if as a viewing experience, you see it, you're like, okay, drone video, and then you breathe it into an altered state, but the drone video is the foundation. My rule with AI is just the source always has to come from me. Like it's not just, like I can't do text to video, I can't do that. That's too, it's a slot machine. It's just like, hey, what so I have to provide the source. It's either, CG or photography or drone cinematography. Another one. So I'm just going to show you the style references, how they apply to the video. These are all straight out of animatediff at about 1400 wide. No upscales, no denoising, no nothing. Just straight out of animatediff. But you can kind of see like how these style references influence the same plate. You create leaves, create flowers, you create coral. The water becomes a caterpillar. It's just so fun. But it's grounded in the drone video, and then the color changes kind of change it. This is a different plate now. This is the drone plate. The big boom over the trees. But the cool thing is it's understanding. It's a nice screen. It's a nice screen. Well done. Way to go, San Francisco Jazz. This is a nice, I wonder how they use this. Flowers. Yeah. What I love, though, is that it understands the depth of the scene. So now we're booming over trees. It understands the foreground, understands the depth of the trees. It honors the camera move with depth. So everything's in depth. I love this shit. I fucking love this shit. This has been like, I always talk about reinventing myself, and I'm constantly, we do holograms, we do computer vision, we do robotics, we do light installations, we shoot lasers, we make a laser installation, but then this has been kind of the most fun and reinvention in a long time because craft is no longer a hindrance. It's all about just clever ways how to take the output and apply it to whatever it is I'm passionate about. And I've recently written a short film that I'm going to do after I'm done with this series. I'm going to do about 6 to 8 pieces of this, got what one piece almost done. The Tron thing is really kind of taking up a lot of my time, but almost done. dude, that's a different speech, but man, that's been something, dude. Oh, that's been something. Comes out in October. Just know if you see it in October, just know that we literally designed everything in that film, and the whole film is a design. It's just like fucking everything. It's a lot. Okay, so you're getting the idea. Style references, drone videos, depth, all of it. And so now I want to show you kind of where this all goes, because this is INFRAMUNK is breathing. So now the challenge is, how do we get the transition from the drone to the breathing state seamless, back and forth, in and out? And so what I'm going to show you is a Premiere offline. And right now it's just cross dissolves in between breathing states, but you can see even just with cross dissolves, it's pretty tight. And then what I do is I take this into After Effects, I use depth mats, and I just do depth mats on everything, use the depth mats to kind of cross dissolve and just get everything really perfect. And I haven't done that step yet, but I want to show you the piece. It's about 3.5 minutes, but I just want you to kind of meditate with me a little bit. We'll watch this, we'll chill, and just take it in. Okay, that was relaxing. Okay, so thank you. Okay, so the next step for that is, and where I could use your help is upscaling. So I'm gonna what I've learned is the RIA in Topaz RIA and RIA XL, I slow it down 2x, and I kind of blend those two to get it up to 4K, and then I just kind of slow it down because the thing that bothers me about it is just all the movement and buzzing, kind of the micro movement. So I'm trying to figure out how to get that smoothed out. So I think just like slowing it down 2x and doing the upscale and denoising is kind of where I'm at with that. But I don't know if that's the best way. So when we're at the wrap party, and if you guys, some of you are going to say, you're going to have ideas. So I would love to know what you think about that. Because that was not upscale. That was 1400. Obviously, there'll be a 4K piece. So that's where I'm at with that. That's unreleased work. It's just work in progress. But I just wanted to share that with you. That's what I'm doing with AI currently. And thanks for listening. I'm out of time. But thank you very much.